Today, I want to talk about stress and what it is. I think in our society at the minute, so many people are very, very stressed for all sorts of different reasons, be it the pandemic itself or the fallout from that. And even before the pandemic, there were high levels of stress, certainly amongst the population within the UK. I've experienced stress myself, and I know that when I'm stressed that I get physical symptoms in my body. I might get headaches, or I might feel like my guts are really unsettled. And we know that medically many physical things are made worse by stress. So headaches, skin problems, gut problems, all made worse by stress, along with many other things as well. So it's really important that we understand what stress is and what we can do about it. So today I'm going to talk mainly about what it is, and then next time a bit more about what we can do about it. So I like to think of stress as being almost like, in physics terms, stress is force per unit area. So it's a force upon us. And strain in physics is the way a solid deforms as a result of the stress. And that's a bit like what happens to us, isn't it? We have a pressure applied to us, and then a kind of deforming takes place within us, in our emotions and in our thinking, and in our physical body as a result of the stress that's applied to us. Now, I'd like to read to you what the NHS website says about stress, because I think it's a really helpful description. So NHS Choices says stress is the feeling of being under too much emotional and physical pressure, or mental pressure. Pressure turns into stress when you feel unable to cope. People have different ways of reacting to stress. So a situation that might be stressful to one person can be motivating to someone else, and we find that, don't we? Stress causes a surge of hormones in our bodies. And these stress hormones are released to enable you to deal with a pressure or threat, the so-called fight-flight response. And once the pressure or threat has passed, your stress hormones will usually return to normal. However, if you're constantly under stress, the hormones remain in your body, leading to the symptoms of stress that we know about, these physical things, and anxiety and worry and not sleeping well, and all the other things that we know about as symptoms of stress. Stress is not an illness in itself, but it can cause serious illness if it isn't addressed. And that's the key, isn't it? That if we're all going to have stress at different points in our lives, but if we allow it to linger and to become part of what's going on all the time, then it's going to cause us problems physically, mentally, emotionally. So this stress is applied to us, and it can be all sorts of situations that can happen in. And we have this fight-flight response that's a God-given mechanism. It's an amazing mechanism to protect us. So if you were to see a truck coming down the road towards you and there's nowhere to go, immediately you'd have this thing kick into action. Your senses pick up, your physical senses pick up what's going on. And then almost immediately there's this physical response in your body where your heart races and your muscles are ready for action. You're ready to run. Pupils dilate so that you can see better. Your gut tightens up because that stomach doesn't need the blood supply anymore. It's needed in more important places, and you're ready to either fight something that's coming against you or to run away quickly. And people do extraordinary things physically when they're in that situation, and that is an amazing mechanism. However, if we've got that kind of response ongoing inappropriately, so for example, in a situation where it really isn't appropriate to run away or fight, or if we've got a low grade running along at this kind of stress level all the time, those things are not how they're supposed to be, and they're not helpful to us. So it's worth starting to recognise if you've got some of these stress symptoms, these fight and flight symptoms going on all the time, and thinking about stress in your life and that pressure. And do you feel not able to cope in situations at the moment? Do you feel like that a lot of the time? Because if so, then you're probably under a level of stress that's not helpful. So what can we do about it? What can we do about stress? Well, we know that the stress is caused by pressure being put on us. So we can start to think about what those pressures are and what we can do about them. And it also results in this deforming of our thinking and our emotions. So often the most helpful thing we can do is start to think about almost resilience. How can we be different so that we don't deform, if you like, so easily? And that really is around how we think about things, what's maybe happened in the past that has made us think a certain way so that we get triggers that cause us to feel stressed out of proportion to the situation. And how can we build up strategies that enable us when those stressful situations are happening and are around us, or even just in our lives and we can't change them? What can we do in terms of strategies to help us manage that better so that that pressure doesn't affect us in the same way? And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next session.